Have you ever argued with yourself about a good idea? Have you ever said, hey, you know what? I think this is the best idea I've ever had in my life. And then somehow you talked yourself out of it. Or maybe you have that little thing in your mind going off all the time that is telling you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And it might not be what you want it to be. Well, guess what? On today's show, we're going to help you cover it with a master, all on today's show. Your mind is a beautiful thing. But if left unattended, it can get ugly real quick. If you're not constantly curating the content your mind consumes on a daily basis, then your surroundings will dictate your daily thoughts, habits, behaviors, and actions. This show has only one goal: to leave your mind more beautiful than it was when you arrived. Welcome to the Beautiful Mind Show. Oh man, today is a really great day. Why? Because I get to bring in one of my very good friends and business partners for years and years. We've traveled all over the world together and done some really incredible things. And he is the author of a book called Little Voice Mastery: How to Win the Battle Between Your Ears in 30 seconds or less and have an extraordinary life. The war, the battle, all those good things. Because man, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've tripped up and gotten my own way and argued with myself when I don't need to argue with myself. By the way, if you can relate, would you do me a favor and comment relate in the comment section? And also, if you are joining the show with us live, I'd love to have you comment from where in the world you are. Put your city, put your state. I want to know so we can give you a quick shout out. But I also want to welcome to the show, on today's show, Mr. Blair Singer. What's going on, Blair?
Hey, Jason, it's great to be here. Great to be here. And I think we're all aware of the battle between the ears for sure.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is the battle. Let's be super clear, right? The lies we tell ourselves, the chaos we create for ourselves over and over again. That's what we do. And I've got another mentor from the High Performance Salon Academy and from our crew on the show today, also Jen Booth. What's up, Jen? She is on with us today as well. What's going on, Jen? Good to see you too.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Excited for this opportunity and grateful to be here.
So good. So good. So good. So Jen and I are going to do our best to grill you, Blair. We're going to ask some questions, learn a little bit more about our little voices, and hopefully you'll give us some tips by the end of today about how we can better battle and do battle with these little voices, because you wrote a whole book on this, and you are, in my opinion, the master of the subject. So talk to me, why was the little voice so important for you, and why did you write a whole book on it?
Well, I came to the stunning thank you, Jason, and thank you for the kudos. The reason I wrote the book is because I needed it the most, quite honestly, is that I realized that one of the things that, as I looked at all the successes and failures that I had in my life, the one thing in common was obviously me. And I'm going, okay, so what's going on over here that's creating all of that out there? And there were even things that kept happening again and again. I go, I'm such a good person. Why is this happening to me, right? And so as I began the quest on personal, realized that I had something going on in my head. I call it your little voice. And if you don't know what the little voice is, it's the thing in your head that just went, what little voice? I don't have one. That's the one. Okay. Totally. I don't know what yours sounds like, but that was mine. I just became adamant about going to any teacher, coach, guru I could find that could help me shut it down and get some mastery over it. Because sometimes, like you said, it gives you bad information.
Yeah, totally. And Jen, you've studied a lot about little voice mastery. You've studied a lot about personal development. Mm-hmm. What do you hope to learn from today from Blair as we have him on the show?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So what I would love to learn is where these little voices stem from. How do we develop these beliefs or these little voices about ourselves? Where do they come from? And what can we do with that too?
That's a great question. That's a great one. You want me to answer it right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are here right now. Let's do it.
Okay, so Jen, I'm just going to tell you this is where the good thing about the little voice is what I've learned over the years, it's not the real you. That's why I love the title of this, Beautiful Minds. You have a beautiful mind, okay? But you got all this other toxic stuff filtering through it. And so what the little voice is basically is a composite of your teachers, your parents, the media, your friends, old experiences that all kind of accumulate in there. And here's the thing. The reason it's so persistent, I figured out, is because it's there for one reason. And the reason is to protect you. It thinks there's a part of you that's trying to protect yourself, right? From taking risks, from making mistakes, from looking like a fool, for doing anything out of the box that might get you in trouble. And so therefore it persists really, really strongly. And so it's not the real you, but it comes from wanting to be safe. Part of you that just wants to be safe.
Interesting. So we all crave that safety, that security, that stability, that thing, but that's kind of the opposite of what helps us grow, right? Isn't that the thing? I mean, it's like we all crave the security. So if growth comes from being outside of our comfort zone, why do we end up stuck in our comfort zone all the time?
Well, see, that's why it's a battle between your ears, because there's a part of you that wants to grow. There's a part of you, particularly if you're watching this, you want to grow. You want to expand who you are. You want to expand your reach, your income, all those things. But then there's the other side. Yeah, but that's risky. If you do that, you could get in trouble. You could lose money. And who said you knew what you were doing anyway? You're not that smart. All that stuff that goes on in there. You're too old. You're too young. You're not pretty enough. All of that sits in there, and it allows you to step back and go, well, maybe I should think this over. And then you don't do anything. Then you get frustrated because you're not doing anything. Then you go fight it, and so that's the battle, right? Unless you follow some techniques and go in there and just kind of pluck the thing out by the roots, which is the
yes,
right?
And that's what I would say. I said if it was easy, everybody would do it. So Blair, can you share with us what would be some things or some insights you have, or some methods or techniques to help control that little voice?
Yes, please.
Well, yeah, I mean, we created a challenge. Should I tell them about that, Jason?
Yeah, let's talk about it, because if you guys would like to check out a challenge from Blair that I think will throw the gauntlet down and help get your little voice set, you got to hear about this. Yeah,
you got to hear about this. So Jason and I talked this over, and he convinced me to do this for all you guys. I think it's one of the best things, one of the best ideas, and that is in this book, Little Voice Mastery, that he was talking about. There are 21 techniques of how to actually pluck the little voices out of your brain. And by the way, I don't know about you, I got more than one. I got a whole chorus line, right? And so you pluck them out. How? There are techniques that I've learned over the years. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and training for me, just so I could keep moving ahead, right? And so what I did is we created a 21-day challenge. So every day in less than 4 minutes, I'm going to give you a technique. Some of them are not even in the book, of how to, the one that says you're not good enough, or the little voice that says, when your little voice says, why does this always happen to me, which is not really true. What do you say? How do you handle it right in that millisecond to turn it around? And after you turn it around a few times, it becomes automatic. That part's gone. You now are mastering your little voice. So we're going to do 21 days of that. Every day I'm going to give you a new one to work on.
Yeah, which is going to be awesome. By the way, if you want access to that challenge, we're going to tell you guys how to get access to it. If you watch Beautiful Minds, we do a free 7-day Beautiful Minds challenge that you can sign up for any day. If you want access to just that challenge, the 7-day one, comment 7-day. But if you want access to Blair's 21-day challenge, do me a favor and comment 21 days, because what we're going to do is we'll send you the information so you know how to get signed up. I'll send you a quick video that'll show you how to do it. And then every day for 21 days, we're going to send you a video message from Blair, and he's going to talk to you about the techniques. Now, let me be clear about how much I appreciate your techniques, Blair, because literally every single day I wear one that says, what I learned from you, celebrate all wins, man. That is like the technique of techniques to rewire your little voice.
That's right. Yeah. I think in the challenge, that's number 3 or 4. It's number 3 or 4. But, there's a whole bunch of other ones too. And, going back to your point, Jen, how do you handle it? The first thing to do is to realize that the little voice is not you. You do have a beautiful mind. And it's a crisp, in an ideal sense, it's crystal clear. It's like looking down in a Caribbean lagoon to all the way 40 feet to the bottom. Mm-hmm. But for most of us, it's like looking at a muddy river. So you don't even know what's in there. So the first thing is to realize that the little voice is not you. It's not the real you. That's number 1. Number 2 is to stop yourself. Say stop. Sometimes out loud, just be aware and say stop, and then apply a technique. I mean, just being aware and stepping outside of it for a second. Why am I so angry right now? Why am I so upset right now? What is going on? At that moment, you have just regained consciousness. You've just woken up again. As the spiritual gurus say, you've become aware. That's half the battle.
Yeah, and I can just speak from my my own personal experience, Blair, with your teachings and Jason's teachings. I just developed some real estate, which is new to me. Like, I'm not just a salon owner. I have some other opportunities or abilities too. And my little voice would get in my head, are you smart enough to do that? And that was my favorite technique, like the one that just says stop. Like, as soon as that little voice would come up, stop, so you can really see what's possible and what you're truly capable of. That's
right. Because if you don't stop it, it'll keep going for sure. Mm-hmm. It'll keep going, not for minutes, but days, years, for the whole, all of your life, and you'll never know. That's why sometimes to apply a little voice technique can radically shift, have a ripple effect on your entire life. And so I'm really excited to be able to share it with a lot of people. But for now, I mean, I'm going to say, just say, like you said, Jen, just say, stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, if you think that you need to say stop to yourself more often when you get sideways and you get frustrated, do me a favor and comment stop in the comment below. I'm not going to stop our broadcast. I just know that way you guys are on the same page with us, right? As we're talking about this. Now, Blair, what have you found? Because I think, and I've never asked you this question, so I'm gonna throw you a question I've never even put in the space before, is that there are some people, and I've just experienced this before, that like I meet some people that are ridiculously successful and they kind of don't know how they got there. Okay. Like I'll meet people and they're like, oh, I don't know. I just happened to IPO this company and they sent me $1 million and then we did this and they just kind of did it. And sometimes I think like, do those people have more mastery of their little voices, or do they kind of just get stuck there, or do they fall into things? I think sometimes success can fall on people in kind of this interesting way. And I think sometimes people can kind of pull their little voices out or kind of be distracted by them. Like, I don't know what my exact question is here, other than just saying,
I got it.
Sometimes I see people that are broken and they still create success, and it just happens around that, with or without mastery of the little voice. Could you talk to that for a second?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because there's two parts to that. The first part is actually, I think, on challenge number 2. Yeah, challenge number 2 is when adversity hits, how do you interpret it? Years ago, there were some studies done on life insurance salespeople, and I think there were like 30,000 of them, and they measured whether they're pessimistic or optimistic, right? Mm-hmm. And they found that the people that had no skills, no selling skills, did 34% better than the people with skills, simply because their mind, when something went wrong, they go, oh, okay, it's no big deal. It's a one-time occurrence. It's not a big deal. The guy was having a bad day, right? Mm-hmm. But for some of us, we're going, oh my God, what did I do? There's something wrong with me. I got to get at it, right? And we think we're being responsible. So what's happening is that these guys are excelling ahead and making 30% more income.
Clueless.
Right? Clueless. And they have no idea why, because they have a natural mindset that way. And when I discovered that, I go, shoot, man, I want that. And so we got the technique so you can actually turn that around. I mean, that's one thing. The second reason is because everybody watching this call, every single one of you are relentless in something you do in your life. There's something that you are on autopilot. You have 100% confidence in. Okay, it could be maybe working out. Maybe you're really good in getting in good shape, but you don't have your finances in order, right? So what happens is that for some of those people, they never had any trauma or any issues around money, but the rest of their life is wrecked. Okay, so they're not in good shape. They don't have good relationships. They don't have those things because they happen to be relentless in that particular area for whatever reasons. Yeah. So one of the techniques is, how do you take the relentlessness from one area and put it into another and another and another, so you can take it through your entire life?
That's good. So transferring that relentlessness to other people,
right,
or to other areas of your life. That's super good. By the way, guys, when we come back, because we're going to take a quick break, and producer Bob, don't freak out on me. I'm just going to do a live commercial. Don't freak out, brother man. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're talking with Blair Singer about how you can get control of the battle between your ears all in about 30 seconds. See, live commercials, what I'm talking about. So by the way, if you are not familiar with the Beautiful Minds program, every month we do a 7-day Beautiful Minds challenge where you pick an area in your emotional health, your mental health, and your physical health. And we give you 3 specific areas, those 3 areas where you can pick a 7-day challenge. And you take one area from each of those areas for 7 days, and it can help you create a beautiful mind. It's one of the best things we do on our show, in our Facebook group, which, by the way, if you want, there's a link up in the description to join our Facebook group, and you can join us with tons of insights, lots of inspiration, daily video messages, and an entire community designed to support you. And if you want to get access to our 7-day challenge, just do me a favor, comment with the comment 7 days below, and we'll get you signed up for that challenge absolutely for free. Did you like that? That was my live commercial, somehow functional. Welcome back. And if you are here and you're just joining us live, we're hanging out with Blair Singer, author of the book Little Voice Mastery, and Jen Booth, who is one of our mentors inside our High Performance Salon Academy. And we're talking about little voices. We're talking about how do you challenge them. Blair has created a 21-day Little Voice Mastery Technique challenge with new techniques. By the way, you said there's new techniques that are not in the book. Now I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What would you say, Blair? Who should go through this 21-day challenge? By the way, if you want access to it, comment 21 days and we'll tell you how to get access to the challenge. Who should go through this, Blair?
Well, I would say anybody that feels like you hit a ceiling someplace in your life. You just keep hitting the same recurring problem. Could be with staff, could be with employees, could be with income, could be with your health. Could be particularly if you have a propensity to be fairly moody, which I am. Okay.
What? Never.
Me, right?
Me too,
so
me too.
if you have emotions that go up and down, one day you feel like you're a legend in your own mind, and the next day you feel like a dunce. Okay. So if that's you, I recommend it because it'll even that out. It'll even that out. And just the other day, I went off about something was immaterial. It had to do with technology, and dogs barking in the background and all that. I just went I went nuts. And my wife goes, "Didn't you write a book called Little Voice Mastery?" I go, "Yeah." I took a breath, and that was it. And I was done. It was done. So rather than having it persist for days and days and making up all these crazy things in my mind, it was about a minute and a half. And I was done. And it was over. And I go, okay. And I laugh, smile, we're all good. So again, if you want to even that out, I'd say that for that. And if you lead any group of people or you have a desire to do that, some of the biggest problems that we have as leaders come on 2 legs and have hair, right? And you gotta learn how to deal with that. And not only your little voice, but their little voice. So these techniques, I say, this is how you use it for yourself. This is how you use it for your team. So if you want to get your team to do X, Y, and Z, then do this little exercise with them and watch the magic happen.
Yeah, Blair, you mentioned something that got my attention is that you said, this is what you're talking about. Business would be easy if it just didn't involve people, right? And I meet people all the time that say, like, I was talking to my landscaper, and I was like, "How many guys do you have on your team now?" And he's like, "I used to have 15 guys, and now I have 3 because I trust 3 people. That's it, never any bigger." And I was like, bro, but and you and I have dealt with this in the last 12, 15 years. We've worked together. So I was like, I'm never going to have a team bigger than 5 people, Blair. I don't want to do it. It's a pain in the ass. I hate everybody. I can't stand them. And then now we have a team of like 17 people. And I was like, oh, here we go. Now we're growing and we're exploding and we're doing all these things. And I think a lot of people have that idea that they don't like dealing with their own little voices, let alone other people. Jen, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah, and I think it creates this challenge. So how do you start dealing with other people's little voices instead of just your own? Because we're talking about getting our own heads together, but how do you really start dealing with other people? Because Jen, I'd like to know that. You too, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
The first thing is you got to be aware of yourself, right? Because remember, the old adage is when your emotion goes up, your intelligence goes down. We know that, right? So anybody that's ever said something when you were upset, typically 10 seconds later, you wish you hadn't said it. That's how you know that that's not good. So what happens is, let's say you're talking to somebody who's upset, then you get upset and you're trying to talk to each other. Now you have 2 idiots talking to each other, right? So the idea here is first get your house in order on your side. Get your house in order. It's like, what do I got to do to be aware of what I'm doing? Then teach it to somebody else. I think that if you're a salon owner, you have a golden opportunity to develop beautiful minds, which is the title of this thing. And I think that people will appreciate that. I think that people appreciate that. I think that the other side, the third part of that is that if you understand little voice a little bit and you're talking to somebody and their little voice is going off like crazy, you can have a little bit more compassion for them and understand that that's just programming. It's not who they really are. In a sane, quiet moment, you know who that person really is. But because they're in reaction right now, just don't let them put you in reaction so you can then coach them and help them a little bit. And then everything gets better. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's.
Yeah. And I have a question, Blair. So tell me, like, how would you go about practicing? How often so should someone practice these techniques once they master them? Like, what do you recommend? What kind of skin in the game should you have, like, just to create awareness?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, you get the challenge, do it that day. That's the thing. Do it that day. And then in the challenge, I ask people to, through the entire challenge, through the 21 days, keep practicing through that whole thing. Because what we know about 21 days is I think it's called neuroplasticity, something like that. It takes that long to build a habit, according to some people say less, more, whatever. But I forget. We all forget. Okay, Jen. So it's like I say, I wish I used all these every single time. I would have to carry a cheat sheet around with me to do that. But you know what? Our emotions hijack us once in a while. But the difference between a person that has some little voice, and by the way, little voice mastery doesn't mean little voice elimination. It's little voice mastery. It's not going to go away. I don't know how to do that. If I knew how to do that, I'd make the pill and we'd all retire, right?
Dang it.
Right? But the point is that if you're aware, at least you can stop and go, okay, I remember this one now. I remember this. Let me work on this. And I gotta tell you the number of times when I have stopped and rewind. Let me rewind that for a second and get my act together again.
Yeah, and you guys have worked with lots of leaders and mentors. So what kind of results do you see which somebody becomes aware of their little voice? Like, what can people expect to be able to create?
Well, this just happened the other day. I was doing a live stream the other day. A woman said she took a program from me in 2007. And when she identified herself, I remember who she was, and I worked with her little voice. I gave her a couple of these techniques right live in a program. She goes, since that time, she goes, I built a 15-person team. I'm semi-retired. I'm having a great time. It all changed in the moment when I became aware that the cause of the problem was over here, and I took responsibility for it. And that's probably one of the biggest techniques, is to understand the word responsibility doesn't mean you're responsible for everything that happens in your life because the world throws you curveballs, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. Okay, that's why it's called responsibility, right? So that was a classic example. I've had people lose weight. I've had people change their businesses, make millions of dollars. You know, it's just different for different people. It hits people different. I wish I could say, well, if you do this, this is going to happen. No, but what I will say, you'll become more conscious, aware, and your stress level will go down. Your immune system strength will go up. Your even keeledness and your ability to make decisions will improve dramatically if you practice the techniques.
Yep. Yeah, I've even seen people, Blair, get better sleep at night and do all kinds of things that, just have awakenings in their relationship and have a better love life. And, it's so crazy to really think that like the root of all problems is what you say to yourself, right? Like that's the deal. That's the truth. That's the truth, right?
It is.
So guys, this conversation can go on for clearly another couple of hours talking about everybody's own head trash. By the way, if you think you have a little bit of head trash, do me a favor and type head trash in the comment section. And good news, if you want to join the conversation and go even longer with us into it, coming up this actual next Monday on March 15th. So if you're catching this live, you get a chance to do it. Is that on Monday, March 15th, we're going to do a masterclass with Blair Singer inside our Beautiful Minds app that you can get and download in the App Store. We're going to do a full masterclass. It'll be banked in the app, available for people to use. And then that class is going to kick off this 21-day series. So if you want to get signed up, you want access to it, the app is really expensive. It's $10. It's $10 a month. You'll get access to it. Hopefully that coffee or two that you lose for buying the app will come back to you tenfold by being able to sleep better, have better relationships, change your life, work with bigger teams, and do all these amazing things that Blair talked about, because that is the reality. You get master of what goes on between your right ear and your left ear, and you can completely change your life. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, do me a favor, leave a comment and say that you enjoyed it. Also do me a favor and rate us in the App Store or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast on. Leave us a rating, because as we get this show up and off the ground, every single rating that you give us is helpful. So Blair, Jen, we're going to keep this conversation going, but in our app coming up on Monday. Blair, it's been my pleasure to have you. Anything you would want to leave, the final parting wisdom?
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to say, I say it a lot, is that the distance between you and where you want to be in your life is not that far. It's just not far away. It's not years. It's not months. It's not days. It could be seconds if you know how to unplug the little voice in question.
So good. Thank you, Blair. Thank you, Jen. Look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you, Jason.
Comment app if you want to join the conversation inside the app, or if you want to join the 21-day challenge. Comment 21. Blair, have an extraordinary day. And thanks for watching The Beautiful Mind Show.